What if the reason your business isn't growing is not because you don't know what to do, but because of who you are being? Success in business is not accidental, it's actually engineered. What if I told you that most people keep trying to fix their business without realizing the business is actually exposing your inconsistency, your lack of structure, your avoidance, and even your blind spots? And it's probably even showing up in your results. So today we're not talking about hacks or even trends. What we're going to be talking about today is who you have to become to actually win on purpose. This is called the Mastery Framework. Welcome to the Conversations Podcast. I thank you for clicking on this video. If you have never heard of us before, my name is Lacedrick Brantley, and riding shotgun with me here today every single week is my co-host, Kenneth Williams. And today what we're going to be talking about is how to build a person who can win in business on purpose, okay? Because most people don't know that the success that you need in this business is rarely about the business itself. It's always about you. So what we're going to be doing is breaking down an acronym called the Impact Framework, where we're not going to be really talking about the tactics, but we're going to be talking about the work that you need to do on you. So number one is identity of a student. Anytime somebody gets into business, everybody has the big dream of becoming the biggest, the best, the absolute monster in business, and they want to make the most amount of money. But most people don't talk about starting from the bottom and actually having the identity and seeing yourself as someone. Who is that? The student. So one thing that I like to start off by doing is asking my co-host a question. And what I'm going to do is just ask you this. When you got into business, what would you say is the number one trait that an identity of a student has to have to succeed in business?
Yeah, there's a old sales tactic. It's called always be closing, right? Well, I kind of flipped it a little bit, and always be learning is the main thing.
ABL.
Yeah, you want to always be learning because here it is. Businesses are always ever evolving, but the crux of the success in business is not the business itself. It's the person. So the person has to always ever be evolving, right? Your business will never exceed your level of character, your level of knowledge, and your level of conviction, right? So I always tell my students, it's important for you to do the inner work, the inner architecture, the inner part of you that requires work. Because I like this one saying. It talks about a person that cannot continue to learn cannot continue to transform.
That's right.
And I love that because it's just the truth of it. I mean, if you're not willing to do the work to evolve in yourself, you can't expect your business to evolve. And a lot of people, and I'll say this, a lot of people hide behind skill,
Right.
and think that skill is going to propel them into this proverbial level of success. And what they find is that your skill set might get you there, but your character will kill you, and not kill you, but will take you down from there.
Exactly.
Right? It'll
Right.
kill any level of success
Yeah.
that a person will ever have. So you want to always be learning. You asked for the trait. I think that's it. Just always be learning. Learning what? Learning some of the limiting beliefs that you have. What are some of those limiting beliefs that you have? You know, it could be your discipline. What is your work ethic like?
Yeah.
Are you sleeping until 10 and getting up? Or are you getting up at 5 a.m.? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are you, maybe it's procrastination. You know, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
You have to have real conversation. People don't like this kind of stuff. When you talk about real conversations with yourself, and I know I got to stuff in those, so y'all got to forgive me, I sound crazy. But when you have real conversations with yourself, what you'll realize is that we make a lot of concessions for the weaknesses that we have.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So always be learning, always be willing to take it to the next level.
Yeah. So when we talk about learning, one of the things that I see about like most people when they get to the level of mastery or, which is essentially just putting in the time and the effort and the work and putting in the most amount of hours that they can do, which I think, what do they say? It's about 10,000 hours to
Oh, yeah.
become a master at
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
So all of the people that you see that you typically look up to, they are students first,
Yeah.
right? Everybody you see talking on a stage, how many times do you think that they have messed up on their speech?
Man.
How many times do you think people mess up on a video,
Yeah.
right? You only can go as far as what you believe. And if you don't believe it, you cannot go there, right? So one of the things that I really like about people who study and they are willing to become, because one of the things that I really like about Myron Golden, he says, be, do, have, right? And the being part is all about not what you do in the open, but what you do behind closed doors, right? Because it's all about who you are behind closed doors and whatever the work it is you're putting in behind closed doors. Because when you come out of that and when it's time to be revealed or exposed, then what ends up happening here is you don't want to be exposed because you're like, man, I really wasn't doing the work.
Yeah.
But on the other end of it, it's like I'm being revealed if I'm actually putting in the work, and people are going to see me for, like you said, character,
Right.
and that's going to propel you to that next level.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost as if, I'll give you a prime example. I was sharing with one of my mentees on last night, and she was wanting all of these different outcomes, like she's wanting all of this success. And I said, okay, well, those outcomes are going to require you to be a person that you're not yet. You're going to have to grow into that.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that block that is pride.
Okay.
Pride will absolutely block you from becoming what you want the outcome to become.
And when you say pride, are you saying pride as in like this person thinks they know it all, or they don't want, they look at the next level and they're like, man, I feel like I'm already here, or I know that already, or what does pride look like when when you say pride? Like, what does that look like?
I tell my son is 14 years old, and we had a conversation about him playing basketball. He's 7 in basketball.
Yeah.
And his favorite player of all time is Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, he got the book on Kobe Bryant. He got Kobe Bryant's shoes. He got Kobe Bryant's jerseys.
Yeah. I got the
posters.
tattoo on my leg.
Yeah, the Kobe Bryant. Yeah. So it's like, he talks about the Mamba mentality, right? And one of the things that I like about the Mamba mentality is that it talks about killing pride. You have to be so obsessed with correction, being able to be corrected and okay with being corrected.
Yeah.
Right? Pride says, you can't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
Pride says, I already know this, or I know some semblance of this, and I don't need you to tell me because I can go and tell it. I can go and find it out.
Right.
Like
pride, those people who, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, you okay?
So you're saying, like, so for instance, somebody gets on and they want to, like, they inquire about your service, right? Well, you're charging this X amount of dollars, but they're like somebody they know that they failed multiple times and they still want to say, hey, I can go get this from YouTube or for free, or I can use AI or whatever the case may be. Are you saying like that kind of pride right there?
Yeah, that's a part of it, because the truth of it is, man, pride comes in all shapes, sizes, right?
Yeah.
But I believe the more blatant of them all is the person that just don't want to be told nothing. How would you grow?
Right.
How would you become what your outcome that you want to see? How can you see those outcomes and actually be able to be partakers of that outcome if you don't become the person that it takes to get it?
Right.
Right.
And that takes will.
Pride, and that takes you being humble.
Yeah.
And being a student, as we talk about the identity of a student. The identity is a person that's always learning, man. And I hate to be the dead horse, but I think a lot of our listeners, if we're being honest, there are some areas in our life and we can see, and look, I can come into your business and I can tell you where this is being active. I can come into your business and I can look at your blind spots. I can look at the places where they're lacking. I can look at all these different things and I can tell you where pride has been implemented, right? Because some of these things, y'all, and this is just the truth, man, and this hit me hardest. in my growth in business and my growth in my personal growth is that I don't have to look to the greats. And when I talk about the greats, I mean, the Tony Robbins of the world,
Yeah.
the Myron Goldens of the world, all of
course.
these people. I don't have to look to them. I can look at life experiences of other people who are on my level, who failed in these areas.
Right.
And I can grow from that experience.
Right.
That's called a learned experience, right?
Mhm.
Well, a person that's humble can see that and learn from it.
Right.
But a person who's prideful, oh, that'll never happen to me.
Right. That makes sense.
That's the lie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the part. And so that goes into your business. And so you get that outcome.
Yeah.
As opposed to the outcome of a person who's humble and always learning.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense because, growing up from where I am, there's a lot of people that make a lot of decisions and they choose to go down a certain path, a certain route, do certain things, whatever the case may be. And I was oftentimes the person who's like, all right, I will never go down that route. I will never have an addiction or, whatever the case may be, because it's like, I personally feel like we make our own decisions. And once you can look at what somebody else has done, see the mistakes that they have made, and you can consciously see, hey, is this a route that I'm going to go down or is this not? Right. So we have that conscious decision to say like, hey man, I'm going to be, I guess we can call it different nowadays. Most people, like to be different nowadays, but I guess different and go down this other route. But like, one of the things that I like in business, what they say is you are a fool if you are doing something over and over and over and it's not working. And you think doing more of it is actually going to change anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's just not going to work.
Right. Absolutely. It's just like adding a bunch of leads to a pipeline thinking that you have a pipeline issue. When it's not a real pipeline issue, it's really your conversion issue.
Right.
You got the leads, you're just not converting.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I agree. And I think one of the biggest things that we need to understand about, the identity of a student is you're not asking the question, am I smart enough?
Right.
You're asking the question, am I willing to learn?
Right.
Am I willing to grow into this? Am I willing to humble myself and really become a student? And I tell you, and listen, I'm going to say this to every person that's listening. If you're not 110,000% obsessed with your industry, you're wasting your time. And I'm going to say it just like that. If you're not 100, every one of my mentees, that's one of the prerequisites. You have to be obsessed with your industry.
Yeah.
You have to live, breathe, sleep, eat, whatever your niche is. You have to do it. You know why? Because nobody should beat you knowing your business, right? Well, what does that take? That takes a student.
Yep.
That takes a person that's willing to always be learning, right?
Yep.
And that means that you can't be prideful. You can't be one of these people who procrastinates. You certainly can't be defensive when someone is giving you constructive criticism or giving you some information that's going to be, helpful to you, right? So it's just these kinds of things, but these things will block you from getting to that outcome.
Absolutely.
Pride, arrogance, defensiveness, procrastination, all these things, they will absolutely block you from seeing the outcome that you're hoping for.
Absolutely. And I think one more thing to take away from this is like when you do have the identity of a student and you self-identify as that, it's like you are not only a student when it's not costing you, but when it actually costs you something, right? When that big mistake goes off or you made a mistake and you're like, oh man, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, right? When you are getting critiques, even at the heightened level, in the heightened sensitivity of our feelings and emotions and all of that, still being willing to have an open ear and hear whatever you're supposed to get at that point in time is very important. Because at the end of the day, no matter what, when we start a business, it's going to test us. It's going to push us to the max levels. It's going to push our faith. It's going to push everything
It's going to
we
reveal
know.
everything in us. It's going to reveal it.
Reveal it or expose it.
Expose,
right?
yeah.
So that's something that I really wanted to add to that, because we're not only supposed to be open to information and being a student when it's good times and when we want to learn something, but oftentimes when it's bad times and when we're going through this transition and transformation that we're trying to get to, we have to be a student.
Yeah.
And that's one of the traits that you need.
You know, one of my mentors growing up, he used to tell me all the time. He said, "If you don't listen to me and take my instruction, then life will teach you."
Yeah.
And that didn't make sense to me until life taught me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's the thing. You know, if you have an opportunity to listen
Mm-hmm.
and to take in information from people and not have to go through the bad experiences all the time. Now it's the inevitable flow that you're gonna get it smacked in the mouth. You're gonna get hit upside the head, and I mean that in a figurative sense, where when that invoice is sent out and they didn't pay, or when your whole staff decide, you know what, I don't want to work here anymore, and they're gone.
Right.
You're about to launch a new product.
Right.
All of these different things, like you'll get hit. But all that does is reveals what actually is in you. Are you going to be cool, calm, collect? Like, I believe that's really one of the traits
Yeah.
of a person who's always listening. I mean, who's always learning. Is that person always asks questions? They're always willing to accept constructive criticism.
Right.
And here's what the better thing is, they change behaviors. They change behavior. So they don't continue in the same thing. They actually change their behavior.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So So if you're going to be a student, have the identity of a student. I'm so sorry, y'all. This is killing me. But to have that identity of a student, those are the three traits that you want to look at. You're going to always be asking questions. You're going to accept constructive criticism, and you're going to change the behavior. You're going to change the behavior. I didn't say change your business, because most people don't realize that changing businesses and changing business models and
Still the same
it's
thing.
going to
Don't
be
go through.
You're going to go through the same thing. So you might as well do the work in you so that you can see the outcome that you're looking for in your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what your next level looks like is very, very simple. If you can become the version of yourself, the next version of yourself that will take constructive criticism, not even only when it's good, but when it's bad, then you will rise up, because what's going to happen is you are then a good steward with what you're getting. You're also like killing that old and past version of yourself. And what that's going to do is move you up to where you need to be. And that's how you self-identify as a student. All right. So the next thing that we're going to be talking about, y'all, is the mastery of fundamentals. Okay. One of the things that I have noticed when starting a business and then being high up in business is that it's not the big things that you need to make changes to. Like most people, when they're going through and they're trying to figure out how to scale, how to go to the next level, hey, do I need to hire? Or what's going on with my sales calls? They think that they need to make big changes, right? What if I were to tell you that if you just focus on the basics and you stick to the basics, as my co-host would always say,
Stick to the basics, man.
you will actually be more successful than most people.
Yes.
Because everybody wants to make the big changes,
Yeah.
but they have not mastered the simple things yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna say this too, to add to that, if I may.
Yeah.
This is where entrepreneurs actually sabotage themselves. This is where you start to see people who are want to be business owners. They're always looking for the hidden trick or the hidden hack, or show me the quick way to do this and the quick way to do that. I'm 47, but I'm old school.
Mm-hmm.
And my old school way says, learn the basics of business, right? But we're talking about the inner workings of ourselves.
Right.
So we need to learn the inner workings and the basics of our inner working.
Yeah.
If you know that you have an issue, and I'm going to say the word again because this is prevalent. If you know that you have an issue with procrastination,
Yeah.
and day after day, you are procrastinating day after day, right? And I know what most people do, and I hear you. Put in the comments if this is you. But I hear you. You're looking for a quick way to overcome that instead of doing the work to understand why it's even happening.
Yep.
And that's what I think that we're saying there is that the fundamentals of being successful in business is to be successful in your personal life. And that sometimes means, and don't get me wrong, you can have public successes and private failures. You certainly can. But most people don't take the initiative to see why the issue is there
Yeah.
so they can remove the issue, right? You can never conquer what you don't confront.
Yep.
If you don't confront it, it will conquer you.
Yep.
What you don't change will change you.
Absolutely.
Every single time.
Absolutely.
So it's that's the important piece to it, I believe, when we talk about, the fundamental of these things is that going back to the basics. Why am I procrastinating?
Yeah.
Why don't I get up and take care of business when I know I should? Why, am I, not training this person when I see them struggling and I know they need to be trained?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like these kinds of things. You got to ask yourself, why that here?
And if we get more so on like a tactical level of what the fundamentals are, whenever you get into a business and you step into a business, there's a level of follow-up that you should do, right? There's a level of offers that you should be making, that you should know what the numbers look like in that business, right? You should know, hey, here's how much the average cost per lead is.
Yeah.
So if we're getting into tactical and like practical information,
Yeah.
let's go to the basics. Hey, how many calls should I be making
Yeah. Follow up.
to do an offer?
Yeah.
How many offers should I be making to do a deal?
Yeah.
Or how many, what is my average revenue per client, right? We should be knowing this thing. How much does it take me to get a lead? What's my cost per lead? My cost per acquisition? These are the basic things that you should absolutely be knowing in this business, because if you don't know how many calls it takes, how many offers it takes, what your avatar of a person you're dealing with and how to deal with these individuals, it's like those are the fundamentals. That's the basic stuff. When we get into the advanced stuff, we're talking about scaling, y'all, we won't even be ready for that information. Like there is a such thing as being too early to something. Have you ever prayed for something and you pray for something so long and so bad and you wanted it? And what end up happening is you end up getting it and you squandered it. 9 times out of 10, it was really because you were not ready for it, right? So one of the things that we do when it gets down to the fundamentals, y'all, is we want to go and we want to scale and we want to move too fast. And literally, if you dial it down to where the fundamentals feel so simple, like too simple, that's where you absolutely want to be. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When it comes down to the fundamentals of doing this, what would you say is something that this person absolutely needs to be consistent in when it comes down to the fundamentals?
Yeah. Addressing your ego.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I mean. Simplicity seems too simple for the person that look for big outcomes. You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
And then you have some people who chase complexity because it feels like it's important. When I'm doing something big or complex or those kinds of things, it feels important.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm achieving something.
Right.
Where really what you're doing, you're stunting your growth. Because what happens is that if you learn how to run before you properly learn how to walk,
Yeah.
your run might be fine, but your walk is going to inevitably affect your run.
Yeah.
I remember telling my daughter, she ran track when she was in high school. And man, I didn't know anything about, the human anatomy. I mean, I studied it, of course, in school. But the human anatomy and the importance of the skeletal system and balance and posterior chain, anterior chain, all of these different things. And her coach, who is an engineer, he said, take a look at her shoes and tell me what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, she needs some new ones.
Right.
Because she needs a track shoe. She needs some new ones. He said, look at the back of them. And what I noticed was the sole of her foot, the sole of the shoe, it was thick to thin on one side, and it was thin to thick on the other side, right? So that showed what he taught me was her gait is off. her hips, right? And I was teaching her technique. You know what I'm saying? Legs and arms move at the same time. Dorsiflex. All these different things. Where the basics of it is, let's get you adjusted first.
Yeah.
Let's get your body ready for the techniques.
Right.
So I'm only sharing that because this is what entrepreneurs do. We run to the complexity of our business because we think it's going to make us the most money, when in reality, it's the small things that's going to make you the most money.
So long story short, to keep it very simple, mastery is the part of doing the simple things instead of trying to
Consistently doing it.
consistently.
Yes.
The word consistently, let's talk about it. Most people talk about consistency. Most people talking about doing something for a long period of time. Let me just give you the simple example to what consistency is. Very, very simple. How long can you do something over a long period of time without stopping? Very, very simple. When it comes down to this, y'all, something good for you to understand is simply this. If you can do something over a long period of time, everybody sucks when they start out, right? Everybody sucks. But the longer you do something and the way that you do it without stopping will actually get you better.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's like you said, the walk will absolutely affect the run,
Yeah.
and vice versa, right? But when we talk about being good, and then we have the basics right here, right? Well, if you just do the basics long enough, you will be good.
Absolutely.
And if you're good, then the basics are there regardless. So we just have to keep moving when it comes down to that.
Yeah.
So what would you say when it comes down to ending this one right here? What would you say is a principle that you could give to somebody that they absolutely should remember for this?
Yeah. You have to be careful what you call small
Yeah.
in business, because, and I know this is true for me in my earlier days, because what you call small now could actually be the gate to where your real next level is
Right.
in your business.
Hmm.
And I only say that because, when we look at our niches and our businesses,
Right.
it's fun to talk about the big stuff. But when you talk about, payroll, when you talk about how to be more efficient in sales,
Right.
when you talk about keeping numbers, do you know your numbers? Do you know your projections? What are you projected to do next month? What does your historical data say about your business? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
These are the small things, right, that make a business successful, as it were, right?
Right.
And I would say that's what I would tell anybody. Listen, don't think it's small. Everything you have in your business is big. Everything from hiring practice to onboarding practices to admin staff, all of those things, your taxes, understanding tax code, understanding, all of these different things, right? Like all of these things are big. There's nothing small in your business.
One of the things that we learn probably every week or every month is that, like, the power of the words and the what we use when it comes down to our words and the tongue that we have is life and death in it, right? So one of the principles that he just broke down is literally from the Bible. If you just watch how you speak, like, we don't notice how we talk sometimes, and the way that you even speak about your business reflects the way that you think and what you even believe.
Limited
right?
beliefs. Yep.
So when we talk about implementing these two things, the third thing we're going to talk about is speed of iteration.
Yeah.
The people that I know who are most successful, that are millionaires, they fail the most. But why do they fail the most? Right? It's going to sound so off when you hear this starting out. They fail the most. They try to see how fast they can fail because they know that it's coming. In any business you start, y'all, you already know this. In any business you start, you're going to have things that you don't know. You're going to have things that are unforeseen that you just cannot calculate. And one of the things that millionaires like to do so they can succeed as fast as possible is fail as fast as possible, right?
Sir.
So the faster that you implement, like the longer that you actually get to enjoy the benefits. Because think about it, we don't live forever, y'all. We do not live forever. So everybody that's saying, man, I got time, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week. Can you tell me who promised us the next day, next week, next month?
I've been living 47 years. That's the
Right.
truth, though.
Like nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
And this is the thing about speed of iteration is if you implement faster, you actually get to enjoy the benefits for a longer period of time because you're getting to where you want to be faster than you're actually procrastinating longer, right? Most people procrastinate their way, and then what ends up happening here is that they wait years. And I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I want you to get it. They wait years, and if you actually speed up, you get to enjoy the benefits faster, right? So the market rewards learners, y'all, not guessers. Okay. If you are willing to learn instead of guessing, you'll actually know because you never have to guess anymore because you actually know, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to speed of iteration, you started, what was your first business that you started? Do you remember?
Yeah.
47?
My very first, if we're talking about very, very first business, was the lemonade stand.
Okay.
That was my very, very first business.
Okay. What was a limiting belief that you had, if any? Everybody has one, right?
Even at that young age, yeah.
And before starting a lemonade business, like, do you remember any types of limiting beliefs that you had that help you? I mean, that stopped you from moving with speed?
Yeah, because it affected my adulthood.
Yeah.
And I didn't address it until my adulthood.
Mm,
And that was, I'm not good enough.
wow.
I didn't think that I had the know-how or
Right.
the charisma or the ability to learn the things that was necessary to make me successful.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think I was good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what that helped me to understand was, even as today, of course I don't deal with that anymore, but after about 20 years of, starting and stopping businesses, failing and succeeding and all of these different things,
Mhm.
one of the things that I learned, and you just said it right there, the market always rewards people who learn.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so we talked about it earlier. When you fail fast, you learn fast.
Yeah.
So whenever don't despise failing, don't despise shortcomings, don't despise any of those things, because what that inevitably does, it teaches you how to read quickly.
Mm,
It teaches you how to recognize failure faster.
yeah.
Right? You can recognize things a lot quicker than you normally would have.
Right.
Right? And that's what happened to me over time. I started to understand, hey, it's really not my ability to learn, it's my ability to read
Yeah.
and to know when something is off or when something is right or when
Mm.
I need to move something or when you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
those kinds of things. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So when we talk about like iteration, y'all, I actually put this down in my notes because I think it's very important that you know this. When it comes to speed of iteration, most people think that iteration is like, hey, I'm gonna do this when I get a chance. They let light get in the way, they let all of these things happen. Or most people think consistency is, hey, I'm gonna do this on Monday, Tuesday, I'm gonna skip, Wednesday, I'm gonna do a little bit, Thursday, I'm gonna skip, Friday, I'm gonna put in 100%. Saturday, I'm not gonna do anything. Sunday, I'm not gonna do anything. I'll start back Monday and doing that. They think speed and iteration is doing that, and that's consistency. Consistency is actually this, y'all. Monday, 20%. Tuesday, 100%. Wednesday, 30%. Thursday, 50%. 60% on Friday, right? 100% on Saturday, 110% on Sunday. Start back over Monday. Monday, 110%. So you get it. Long story short, what iteration really is simply this. You get action, feedback, adjustment, and you repeat. Okay. Let's break it down. When we talk about action, okay, how fast can you take action in whatever you want to do, no matter what it is, whether that's making a phone call, whether that's making the mistake, whatever the case may be, how fast can you take action on doing that? Why is it so important for somebody to get feedback?
Yeah, because again, that feeds your learning,
Yeah.
right? And feedback comes from all kinds of things.
How do you get feedback?
Shoot, in many ways. I tell you, my favorite of all, failure.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know we've said it a couple of times. I don't want to be the dead horse,
Yeah.
but man, let me tell you, there's nothing like a failed launch or a failed business or a failed idea. There's nothing like it because this is why I always attach myself to people who has failed multiple times.
Right.
If you've never failed, I like you, cool beans, but we can't hang.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you have nothing to offer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But as a person who has failed multiple times, there's a depth that's there. The feedback that they receive from their failure, it doesn't just reflect their business, it reflects them.
Right.
So something within them failed, right? That's the reason the business failed,
Right.
right? So yeah, it's important.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about feedback, y'all, it was exactly that, right? Also adjustment. When you get this feedback, you must adjust, right? We always talk about like everybody talks about, hey, snapping back or hey, catching on quickly. Literally, y'all, making sure that you adjust is going to be the most important thing that you can do because the market changes every 6 months, every 3 months, in some businesses every single month, right? And if you can adjust quickly, y'all, you will actually stay on track and stay ahead of most people because most people are not willing to have the identity of a student like you, to move as fast as you move. So as long as you stay adjusting to the things that are up to date. We have AI now, right? We have AI agents. We have all of these things that are coming out. Who do you think is not implementing these things? The people who are stuck in their own way. So if you can take the action, get the feedback, adjust, and rinse and repeat that, you will actually be more successful by doing that.
Look at the progression of that.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to tell you when we had the production meeting. I wanted to talk to you about that. I noticed the progression in that. You can't get feedback unless you take action.
That's right.
So action produces feedback.
Yep.
Feedback then produces adjustment.
You can't adjust if you ain't got feedback.
Right. So once you've received the feedback, now you can adjust.
Yep.
Now repeat.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So this is the part where entrepreneurs need to really hone in on, is that you want to make sure that you are absolutely taking action at all times in your business and in your personal life. You want to always be listening for feedback. You want to always be adjusting when you get that feedback and then repeat it. This is what we mean when we talk about consistency. This level of consistency. There's a saying, they talk about note takers or money makers.
Yeah.
I like to think about that too when it comes to the mental. Make a mental note. You know what I'm saying? Make that mental note and notice when something is off or you've learned something there.
Yeah.
Make that mental note and repeat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So and most people are paralyzed by their perfectionism.
Yeah.
Like most
Oh,
people
man, yeah.
are so they get paralyzed because they want to be perfect.
They want to be
They
perfect.
want to get everything right.
Polished.
They
Yeah.
they don't want to fail.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the thing that keeps people stuck.
Yeah.
Because once you start feeling like, oh man, I can't move because I want it to be perfect, then you start overthinking. Then you have anxiety.
Yeah.
Then you have all of these different things that fall behind these things. And people say it's mental illness. It's not. It's literally like it's tied to something. We'll get into that in another podcast. But long story short, y'all, when you make the iteration, y'all, it requires a lot of humility.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to move and move fast and literally have the humility when you move.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing that we're going to be talking about is purposeful practice. Okay. Purposeful practice. Have you heard that? Purposeful practice. Purpose, practice. All right. Very simple. When you think about purposeful practice and you started many businesses, and what does that look like when we talk about being intentional when it comes down to, like they say, practice what you preach, be intentional, all of these things? What would you say is a a trait that this person carries if they like they followed everything, right? And they self-identify with all of these things. But when we talk about purposeful practice, what would you say is one of the things that a trait that this person has and they should actually keep when it comes down to this specific one?
Training.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do business and they have the experience without the training.
Yeah.
And what happens with that is you develop a way, but it's not the way,
Yeah.
right? So this separates businesses who are successful
Mm-hmm.
and then those who are uber successful,
Yeah.
right?
That makes sense.
And what I'd like to say is a person that refuses to train refuses to grow.
Yeah.
You refuse to do things the right way.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to train in whatever area. It doesn't matter what that area is.
Yeah.
Whatever area your niche says it requires the training, you got to train for it.
Yeah.
That's why I have a lot of friends, man, that have been doing business for years, but they've never beat that, 75K, 100K
Yeah.
year.
Absolutely.
And you know why? Because they refuse to train.
Absolutely.
They refuse to. So they've been doing business for years,
Yeah.
but haven't got the proper training to take them to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about purposeful practice, it is the practice that supports your purpose. It's the training that it takes to get you from here to the next level.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
So when I actually ended up hiring for my company, there was one point in time where I ended up hiring about like 5 closers. And what I end up doing here is hiring about 5 closers. And what ended up happening here, y'all, is I actually did not transfer the skill set that I had, y'all, into them, right? We always talk about starting a business and having employees and partnerships and all of this, but one of the things that we absolutely don't notice most times is that sometimes the business is stuck with us, right?
Whew.
And one of the things that I am really good at is closing, right? But when it comes down to having these sales conversations with the closers and training them and transferring all of my skills to them, back in 24, I actually hired and I had to end up firing everybody just because of this thing. My conversions were super low. All of our KPIs were off. All of these different things because of that one thing. We did not train as often as we should have because, we let the personal side take over. We also think that, hey, once a week is okay when we should have been training Monday through Friday, Monday through Wednesday, Thursday, et cetera, right? So when we talk about training, I think that's very important because having the areas of training is very important. Like we got sales conversations. Another thing you actually taught me was actively listening.
Actively listening.
Right?
Yeah.
When we're on the phones or whenever you have a client, listening more than you speak is very, very important. They talk about the 80-20 rule, the 70-30 rule. Hey, you talk 30% of the time and let them talk 70%, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And that's another area you can train in. What are some other areas you believe that they could get better at in this specific field right here?
Yeah, I mean, it can be everything from, as you mentioned, closing. Yeah, that's one. Understanding how to have a conversation. You can even go as deep into your actual infrastructure of your business, which is, financial side, training on, what it means to stay in compliance. All of these different things. These things require training. They require it. I would even venture to say that leadership communication need to be trained on. One of the things that I learned in my business back in 2023 was that I invested a lot of time training people on how to listen and how to ask questions to get the person to understand their pain, right? So it was more so of the training. But prior to that, I was always saying our numbers are down because they're not good enough.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where they're not good enough because I haven't
We're not training, right?
So I took literally 6 months of the year and just really focused in on training. Literally, we trained 3 times a week. We would listen to calls. Okay, hey, let me do this training with you. Hey, let's do this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that made the difference.
Absolutely.
So you think about investing the time to, get into those things, decision making. A lot of people don't know how to really make decisions.
Right.
There's not a framework of how to actually make a business decision.
Right.
You don't just say yes or no. Your yes or your no could be the beginning or the end of your business.
That's true. Yeah. That's
So
true.
but there has to be a framework by which you understand those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense, because you have to operate in that way, in some form of a framework, right? Because that's very important. So when we talk about this, y'all, we've went through a couple of things. So let's go back. The number one thing here is Number one thing we have is identity of a student. Okay. Number two, we have mastery of fundamentals. Okay. Number three, speed of iteration. Sorry if it's taking me a little bit. I'm scrolling. Number four, purposeful practice. You must be intentional with everything that you do. And then number five is relentless consistency. Okay. So there was a time when I started my business, y'all, and this was when I first left my 9 to 5, right? When we get into business, y'all, it's kind of like you get into fight or flight mode, because there's no monthly check that's coming. There's nothing coming but you. You have to go get the sale.
Yep.
You have to go do all of the work. You have to follow up. You start out wearing every hat in the business, right? And when we talk about relentless consistency, one of the things that end up happening here is I had a good friend. His name was Naaman Taylor, and he ended up trying to hire me at this point in time because, he had news, and I was like, no, I'm going into this business full time, and I'm just going to go full throttle. So we had a conversation, and one of the things that he was saying, like, it's just the way that he talked. Have you ever heard somebody um, talk so ruthless and relentless in a respectful kind of way, but they're like, man, I'm coming for you. I got these type of numbers. I'm aiming for this. I'm aiming for that. Right. And the way that he talked, y'all, actually ignited something in me. But here was the thing that I did not notice before starting a business and noticing that, hey, you're in another area where you have to wear all the hats.
Yeah.
Relentless consistency.
Yes, sir.
Right. I was used to working 5 to 8 hours a day. He was like, hey, we work 12 hours a day here. And I'm like, man, that seems kind of like ruthless. Like, I'm like, man, that's crazy. So I was like, no, I respectfully decline. Guess what? A month later, guess how many hours I'm working in my business? 12 plus hours a day, 16-hour days. And
Yeah, man.
the thing about it was not the on and off about it. It was all about just staying consistent and doing it
Yeah.
like back to back to back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we talk about relentless consistency, y'all, one of the things that you could be missing is actually just doing more.
Just doing it.
Like, just doing more. Like, forget, like, you may be making 5 calls a week. Hey, what if you needed to get your first client, your next sale, you needed to do 100?
Yeah.
Now you need to be asking yourself, hey, how consistent can I be, and what kind of schedule can I put in place? What do I need to do to talk to 100 people so I can get my client?
Yeah.
Right? How consistent can I stay with that? What does that look like? Right? What kind of schedule does that look like where I need to put in the work to stay consistent? Right?
Yeah.
What does consistency mean to you?
Yeah, you're saying it. It's understanding what your priorities are in business and having a structure to support it.
Right.
So understanding that, okay, this is a priority. I'll use your example. I want to have 5 people signed by the end of the week.
Exactly.
If I'm doing the numbers, that means I need to be talking to 100 people.
Right.
The law of averages, half of a half of a half, right?
Mhm.
So you look at, I need to be talking to 100 people. That means that I'm not going to be talking to 100 people. I need to get 500 leads, because I might only talk to 100 of the 500.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so you gotta, that's called structure. That's called understanding what your business needs, what we like to call a business requirement, and feeding it with structure.
Mhm.
Understanding what the priority is. Here's the priority: 5 sales at the end of the week. That's the
Right.
priority. Bam. Okay, cool. What is it going to take to get there? A, B, C, and D. Cool. All right. What's the structure we're going to put into it? Right. Now I'm looking at it, and here's the biggest thing. It's the lack of structure and over emotionalizing when something don't work.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like that will absolutely destroy your consistency because you're overthinking it now. You're it don't feel fun.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things about entrepreneurship is understanding that you're not going to be on the mountaintop every day.
Right.
You got to realize that there are going to be days where you're going to hate doing what you do.
Yeah. Everybody talks about like, man, like the highs and paints this picture
Oh,
of
man.
like business is like so perfect. Oh, I made $1 million in a month. I made this in a year. I
Man.
made this in a day. But like, why does nobody talk about the failures and the downs and
That's the crux of my business.
so like the hey man, I didn't get paid for 2 months type of thing, or I had to pay all of my employees before I actually paid myself, right? There was plenty of times that that's happened to me, where you are not you're looking forward to getting a set amount of money or whatever you're paying yourself, and you know that what you're worth, you cannot pay yourself because of maybe it's the business, maybe it was the team, maybe it's consistency, but you emotionalized it, right? If we stop emotionalizing everything and become less, what do we call that? Emotionless, right? What we'll end up doing is we'll notice that we'll have more structure. We can operate in clarity because of the things when we're not operating in our emotions, right? So one of the things, y'all, I'll share with you about being consistent, like I shared with you earlier, if you pay attention to what I shared with you from before, consistency, and we talked about ups and downs, highs and lows, and all of these different things. Consistency is not you falling off one day, you're getting back on, you falling off, you're not doing it, and then you're getting back on again. It's literally like, it doesn't matter if you're at an all-time low of 10% or you're giving 150%, right? As long as you're doing something, right, every single day towards your business, this is what we mean by relentless consistency. So, hey, how much can I do? How long can I do it? Hey, even if I'm not feeling up to it, we're not telling you that you're gonna have great days every single day.
Oh,
That
man.
it's not even like you in life, we have positive and negative. You can't get a battery to start without there being a negative, right? So that's just kind of how life is. It's like, hey, we need this positive and this negative, and you can't be perfect.
Yeah.
Anyway, so one of the things that I think is very, very important that I noted down for you is very important, y'all. When you look at relentless consistency and you think about something that can destroy you, I want you to think about these couple of things when you think about, hey, these are the things that can destroy me in my phase of consistency, right? Hey, living emotionally.
Yeah.
Number 2, lack of structure.
Yeah.
If you don't have the structure you need, you're hiring, but you don't have onboarding processes. You're not sending out agreements. You're not making sure you're protected. That's lack of structure. You don't have an LLC or you don't have an S corp. Or you don't have the proper structure for the business that you're doing.
Right.
That's lack of structure. Another thing is overcommitting. When we say overcommitting, let's touch on that. What does overcommitting mean? Some people are like, wait, you can undercommit, overcommitted. What does that mean?
Yeah, overcommitting literally means exactly what it is. You're committing more than what's needed. Your business don't require 100% of you.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. Your business doesn't require 100% of you.
Yeah.
What it requires is 100% of your thought.
Yeah.
And I'll break it down.
Yeah.
And
What
I had
that mean?
I had to learn this, man.
Yeah.
If you learn how to delegate responsibility, if you learn how to automate, if you learn how to build your business to the degree that it's not fully dependent upon you, and let's talk to the startups.
Yeah.
I'm actually talking to you, all of my startups, who think that they have to be all and do all.
Right.
You're living in the greatest era in modern history.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
living in the greatest era. If you want to do business,
Yeah.
you can have a legitimate business that is big in less than 24 hours.
Absolutely.
And you can do so with the help of technology, with the help of delegation, and with the help of just a little bit of thought.
Yep.
Right? So you could actually have that business. What most entrepreneurs fail is that they think that it's going to be good every single day.
Yeah.
So we commit to always trying to make it good.
Yeah.
No, you commit to mastery.
Right.
Mastery means failure.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is so awkward in the mind of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me the mastery is failure? Yes. Mastery is failure. And once you fail, you master, right? You get the feedback. And now what you can do is you understand that I don't have to overly do anything.
Right.
I just commit what's required,
Right.
right? So overly committed can kill your business.
Yeah.
Because you're overdoing. It's that saying, you're doing too much.
Yeah.
It's that saying, you're doing too much. And that's what happens. People, you're doing too much in your business. Let me give you an example. Let's say customer, let's say, your customer bought something from you. They get a thank you text.
Mm-hmm.
They get a thank you email, right?
Mhm.
Overly doing something is getting the thank you text, thank you email, thank you phone call.
Yep.
Thank you gift in the mail, thank you. That's overly doing something,
Mhm.
right? So that speaks to you feeling like you have to do this in order to make up for something that's lacking in you.
Mm.
So that overcommitting actually reveals a character flaw.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
That makes sense too, because even when I, getting into real estate, most people have 9-to-5s, or some people don't have 9-to-5s, and they're just struggling to have consistency. And I say, hey, if you just commit to this for 2 hours a day, we have 24 hours in a day. We're woke at least 16,
Yes.
right? Just commit to 2 hours a day.
Yes, man.
Because once you commit to it, it's like you get the hunger organically, and then you're like, all right, now I can do 3.
Yeah.
Now I can do 3.5. Now I can do 4. Instead of getting into business, we're like, oh, well, I seen them make 100K in a month. Well, let me go do 8 hours. And it's like you're over committing. So it
Social
makes sense.
media lied to us, man.
Yeah.
Social media, this is why I tell people social media is a blessing and a curse at the
Yeah.
same time. Because as you stated earlier, you hear a lot of people talk about the wins, they talk about all the money, they talk about all these things. They don't talk about that failure, man. They don't talk about that hard time. They don't talk about all of the things. That's why I like Mark Cuban, and I hope I don't get beat up not beat up, but
Yeah.
tagged but this is why I like Mark Cuban so much, because Mark Cuban is very honest and open. He said, man, I failed.
Mm-hmm.
I have many failed businesses,
Yep.
but all it took is one.
That's it.
That one business, and it took him from here to being a billionaire.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, man.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, man. So, and another thing is really just having clear priorities as well. Like,
Yeah, man.
having the clear priorities and labeling that out and knowing what that looks like is very important for you. So those are the things that can destroy you. Now let's talk about intentional networking. One of the things that most people nowadays look down upon is hiring a coach, is networking at an event, is meeting more people, right? Why would you not want to? And when I say networking, we're talking intentional networking, right? Most people don't want to hire a coach, but they rather go do it for free and still fail. There are certain things and aspects of things that you're going to get from a coach that you can't get from AI, that you can't get from YouTube. And one of the things that I like to say is that it actually helps you get ahead, because you're gleaning in on somebody who has this X amount of experience, they made it this X amount of money, and they've went through all of these different things. And it's very important to notice that, hey, look, I'm going to need to, like, you can't do it all yourself, right? There was one time in business, y'all, where I literally thought that I could literally make millions and millions of dollars by myself, right? Literally just by myself. And I noticed that I'm like, no, I need this person. I need this thing. I need this. I need a coach. I need this. And once all of these things started to form, that's the faster the revenue started to grow, because I got to glean in on things that I wanted to try that maybe I should not have tried.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, this person was able to tell me, hey, don't do this because I've tried this and this is the results I got from it, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
And me, I'm one of those people who I just learned by doing it, and then I end up seeing like, oh, I should have did that, right? So when we talk about intentional networking, like, how important is it to build up a Rolodex of people, maybe in your industry or like in a, what do you call that? Vertical of your industry. How important is that to essentially intentionally network with these individuals? Like, are people needed, or is this like something that is kind of like a nice to have?
Yeah, I say it's necessary. I told this story before, and I think it bears repeating. I was at and you came to the Small Business Association.
Yeah.
They had downtown Dallas, and great event, incredible event. Shout out to the SBA for doing it and hosting it. It was amazing. But I got to sit in on a panel discussion, and I forget the young lady's name, but she was on Shark Tank back in 2020, and she talks about how, before she got on Shark Tank, the necessary things that she needed to do in order for her to be successful today. And one of the things that she said was, you're going to need a therapist. Get yourself a therapist, somebody that you can actually talk to vent frustrations, and they can actually help guide you in those emotions and things.
Right.
And get you a business coach. Somebody who walk with wisdom, who've been there with experience, who understand navigation, understand how to stretch a person's identity, understanding how to, take a person from where they are and to show them how to get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
And so she said, get a business coach. And then the last thing she said is to check in with your family. If you're married, you have a spouse, you have a, significant other, maybe you just have a boyfriend or girlfriend, check in with them, because there's going to be a definite hit on them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be taken away from them for a period of time. Right. So I'm only mentioning that because when you talk about intentional networking and you talk about having verticals, it is my conviction that you don't only look for verticals, but you look for horizontals. You look for people that have sound wisdom and understanding of not just your niche, but business as a whole. You know what I'm saying? There are some business practices that are, inclusive to all businesses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So when people think about networking, they think about what?
Trying to be seen.
Yeah, like shallow handshakes. I'm just going in there to just, I'm here now. Yeah, that kind of deal. But when we talk about intentional networking, man, that's different. You're going in to be a giver.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And in turn, somebody gives to you.
Right.
When it's real networking. I've been a part of some circles, man, that, boy, I was so glad I was a part of.
Yeah.
Because I walked in there with $1 million, walked out of there with $1 billion.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I walked out of there feeling like I was on cloud nine because of all of the information and the connections that I was able to get.
When you go and you network, what are some necessary like needs that you should get when networking? I mean, there's so many forms of networking. We got online events, we got in-person events, we got all of these different things.
Yeah.
What kind of information should you look to get? Actually, let me back up. When you go one of the things that I do when networking is I look to see how I can add value to people.
Absolutely.
Because in exchange, they're gonna want to do it back if you over deliver and you're just like, I'm just a naturally giving person anyway.
Yeah.
So one of the principles that I would say from this is, instead of looking to take, look and see how you can give, add value.
That's the key.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely 110,000% the key, because we are in business to serve.
Exactly.
And while we're serving and while we're helping and while we're being a blessing to somebody and we're giving, it's inevitable that it will be given back unto us.
Right.
This is why I don't understand why you're competing in business.
Yeah.
For what?
About collaboration.
Partnership. Collab.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how, if you really want to come up, collab.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And get, one of my mentees, he has a where's two of them? They have mobile car maintenance services. And one of the things that they talk about is, one is good on one thing and one is good on the other thing.
Okay.
And so we pitched to them the importance of, the potentiality of networking and partnering.
Yeah.
See how that works. And then if you have a friend that does mobile detailing,
Yep.
bring that in, add it into the package. Now you got a crazy offer.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So it's when you're look, I'll say it this way. You're going to go far in relationships with someone in business than you ever will by yourself.
Yeah.
That's just the truth of it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll go so far in business, but it takes a village to get you to that next level,
Mm-hmm.
and all of y'all eat at the same time,
Yeah.
at the same table.
Absolutely.
I think about Christ and, how, he walked and he did all these miracles and signs and wonders, and people thought that because the disciples were attached to him that they could do the same thing.
Mm.
Well, they come to find out they couldn't.
Yeah.
And it was because of that failure that they got the feedback that they needed. To now, the Bible says that the same person that couldn't heal was the same person now that their shadow healed the person. Talking about Peter. So my point there is, when you're in close proximity with promise, when you're in close proximity with something that actually legitimately can take you and move the needle, I think that's the most important piece to it. Because what happens is, as they elevate, you elevate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's important because it kind of talks about like who you are connected with. It kind of changes it changes your perspective, because different people have different views and go through different things. Same thing in business. You
Absolutely.
have the people at different heights and levels in business. And what ends up happening here is that you get insight, and not only insight, but you get to view things from a different lens now, because you get to see it from the other person's point of view. And whoever you're connected to, y'all, it's very important to add more value than you try to take.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Add more, no matter what. It does not even matter if you're not getting it in return. Still add more value and look to see how you can serve, because it's going to come back regardless to the fact. Right. So I think that's very important. So now you know how to intentionally network, y'all, is literally make sure that you add value, and it's going to come back, y'all. Simple as that. That's all you have to do. And then make sure that you build connections that are worth building.
Yeah,
Okay?
man.
Don't just go out and just collect a whole bunch of people's information and contacts just because you can. And it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, hey, I need this, and this is nice to have.
Yeah.
Nice to haves are cool, but like, we need the things that we need right then and there. And whoever we are meant to connect with, we will. But like the people that we don't need to be connected with, long story short, you get where I'm going.
I don't think, and I will end with this one. I don't think it's I really believe it's important for people to surround themselves with supportive people that don't celebrate you all the time.
Right. When you say don't celebrate, what does that mean?
And what I mean by that is, I would rather have somebody that challenge me than celebrate me.
Yeah.
Because I'll leave the celebration to the people, right? The people that I want in my circle are the people that's going to challenge me every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether they're challenging me non-verbally by their work ethic, or they're challenging me by being in my face. Hey, man, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z, but you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Not being rude, not being,
Yeah.
all of that. Well, bro, what's going on? Why you not?
Yeah.
So I don't really, and I'm grateful that I have a village of people that they are there for me, but they're not so gung-ho about celebrating
Yeah.
more than they are about challenging.
Exactly.
And for me, that works for me.
Yeah.
I don't need the head claps.
Mhm.
What I need is the person that say, hey, you said you were going to get that done.
Yeah.
Or the person that says, hey, that venture right there looks good, but you didn't take a look at those numbers right.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
challenges, seeing somebody's work ethic or somebody's drive to actually succeed and not just take life for granted.
Right.
Golden said something the other day. My daughter brought it up to me. She said that the reason why he works so hard is because he realizes he's about to die.
Exactly.
And that hit me so hard. It's like, every day we die.
Yeah.
That's the truth. We're living, but we die daily. So having people around me with that mentality of, yeah, let's celebrate,
Yeah,
but nah, we got to go get this.
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So don't look to be celebrated. Look to be challenged. That's
Absolutely.
what I would
Because
say.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not where you want to be in your bank account and your goals
Oh
and your,
man.
like what is the celebrating for?
Yeah.
Like who, I guess a principle that you can even take from this, y'all, is like asking yourself, hey, who am I around or surrounded with who actually truly challenges me
Yeah.
and holds me to the standard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you know how like they say, oh, well, we got the rich friends club, right? And you got the other people that can't get in. Well, technically there are clubs and there are circles and not necessarily, the rich friends.
Sure.
Everybody, there's money to be made,
Right.
right? But there is circles where people hold themselves to a standard,
Right.
a certain level of accountability.
Right.
And it's like if you are not striving to be your best version of yourself
Yeah.
each and every day, what are we doing?
Yeah. And to say that too, you think about the importance of understanding the economy,
Yeah.
understanding the nature of the economy
Yeah.
and the temperature of the social economic climate,
Mhm.
right? People today now, and I'm speaking in reality, people today have it's been more divisive
Mhm.
on political aspects and moral aspects and religious aspects.
Yeah.
But the one thing that people rally around the most?
What?
Business.
Yeah, it's true.
People rally around business because the small business owner that's a Democrat is next door to a small business owner that's a Republican.
Yep.
Does that make sense? And so we rally around business. We rally around those common ideals
Mhm.
of what it means to be an American, what it means to be a citizen, what it
Right.
means to be a productive member of society.
Right.
And it's all centered around the actual driving force of business. So I always tell people, man, religion is great. I'm a pastor. So I understand Christianity. I understand, all of these, some of the pitfalls and the downfalls and all of those things. But when it comes down to building a community, I don't want a bunch of Christians around me.
Yeah.
I really want a diverse group of people who categorically object to what I believe,
Mhm.
but is not disagreeable.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't believe like you believe in this area,
Mhm.
but we believe together on that area.
Mhm.
This is what I mean by challenging us, right?
Yeah.
You get those challenges of thinking deeper, thinking longer,
Yeah.
right? Consistency, yeah.
Yeah.
All of those.
And that helps you like really see it from a different lens, so, like what you said. So I think that's really, really good. So the next thing, and we have skill stacking, y'all. We have measuring impact. And then from there, that is literally it. So let's go over these two things right here. Skill stacking. You do not need to be the best one to become dangerous in what you do. If you take two things that complement each other and you do those things, you stack the skill, right? We have like what are two skills that we have closing, right? We have closing, and then from here we have what do you it's follow up isn't necessarily a skill, but it's a skill.
It's
right?
absolutely a skill.
Closing and follow up.
Proper follow up.
If you don't follow up, you can't get the close, and if you can't close, you can't get the follow up.
Yeah, you
right?
go into a phone call on a follow up and say, "Hey, I was just following up with you."
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
now you sound like you sound like every other one.
Exactly.
Hey, I just had a few moments to check in on the, you know what I'm saying? That kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
We don't go in with, so follow up is absolutely a skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is asking yourself, hey, what strengths do I already possess and what I already have, right? Because if you can take those strengths right there and literally just like bounce off of those things, you don't have to be the best. And this goes to what we were saying earlier. If you want to learn a new skill and you want to get better at a new skill, all you have to do is relentless consistency, right? Intentional, like just being intentional with being consistent with it. And the longer that you do it, the better that you get, right? And the better that you get, it's going to equal more time, right? So, one of the things I think is very important, you have to ask yourself is, hey, what skills and strengths do I already have? What gaps are actually limiting my value? What complementary skills would actually make me unusually effective, right? ask yourself those kinds of questions because you are the only person who knows what strengths that you have in yourself and in business, period, right? What about skill? Like, have you ever? I know we got like a freaking lot of skills when it comes down to business and all of these different things, right?
Only because of experience.
And that the teacher of everything is experience,
Yeah.
right? When it comes down to skill stacking, what would you say is like the like? I guess this is gonna get kind of controversial. Um, what are the best two skills that you believe that somebody needs to be successful in a business?
Good listening skills.
Uh-huh.
That's the top number one.
Okay. What else?
Good sales.
So sales skills and good listening skills.
So I would say listening, being able to articulate speech, being able to articulate, and sales.
Yeah.
I think those are the three top, the absolute top of the top.
Okay.
Because whether you're selling a service, whether you're selling a product, you know, at the end of the day, you're selling.
Yeah.
There's an exchange of goods and services for currency.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to listen, you have to be able to speak, and you have to be able to sell.
That makes sense.
So you master those three skill sets, and you can go into any business.
Okay.
You can start your own business on those three principles alone.
Absolutely.
I don't care if it's pottery business. I don't care if you're arts and crafts, your grandmother's woven blankets.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you know how to sell, you know how to speak, and you know how to listen,
Yeah.
you're gonna win every time.
One of the best things that somebody told me is I can learn sales. That's one of the best things that you can do. And you know why I find that so crazy? That is so crazily true is that no matter in my business, I've been doing this for about 7 years. And no matter what lead I get, like everybody talks down on cold call leads, Zillow leads, and this and
Just don't know how to do it.
the inbound leads. You know, inbound leads are the best, right? But no matter what, we have a call on Fridays where my students send me their leads for me to call and demonstrate to them what it looks like to call. And they have a whole category of leads from Zillow leads to cold call leads to inbound leads. And it's like all of them sound like an inbound lead. All of them sound like when we talk to this seller and I get on the phone with this individual, it's like, man, was that an inbound lead? And it's a cold call lead, right? It's because I know the skill of selling. I know the skill of listening,
Yeah.
right? And believe it or not, actively listening is a skill because most people like they skip right over the most important things that they hear on a sales call.
Yeah.
And like they fumbled the call all
Yes.
because they didn't listen to it and address it
Yes.
instead of saying, oh, well, you got somebody that say, oh, this person died. Okay, well, what was the condition of this?
Yeah.
Right. And you skip right over that. That's not listening, right? So I think that's very important to have those kinds of skill sets, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And when you thinking about it, you know, it's really about playing to your strengths. Maybe you're not a good speaker.
Yeah.
But maybe you are strong in admin. You know how to keep things in order. You know how to bookkeep. You know how to keep things in order as it relates to that. You know, maybe you're stronger at numbers. Maybe you understand projections. Maybe you understand how to put those formulas together in that Excel sheet. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Maybe that's one of your strengths. Those play a major part into your business. All of those do. So you stack all of those together.
Right.
Yeah. And then here it is, you hire for your weakness.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you hire for your weakness. You know, one of the things that I learned early on was I didn't know taxes and I didn't want to take time to deal with taxes.
Me neither.
Yeah, but what I did was I decided, hey, let me get somebody on it that I knew that could actually get the job done without any headaches.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? It helped me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I didn't have to worry about my taxes. I was on time. Everything worked perfectly fine. And it was because I delegated that authority as opposed to me trying to be the authority.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So a question that you can ask yourself for this one, y'all, which again, we are on skill stacking, right? A question that you can absolutely ask yourself is what are 2 to 3 skills that you can intentionally combine, y'all? And if you combine these things, what would those things be and how would they radically increase you over the next 12 months?
Yeah.
Like mine's was sales, like you said, actively listening and literally like underwriting, right? Getting really good at underwriting, sales, and listening, right? You know how to underwrite and make sure the numbers are right. You know how to sell, you know how to follow up, you know how to do these things. That's what matters the most. Most people don't want to learn the hardest skills, and that's one of the things that hold them back, right? But like you said, you don't nowadays when you start a business, you don't have to be strong in all of these areas. You can delegate, you can hire, you got AI now.
Yeah.
And even
Yes.
with that, the fundamentals are so fundamental where most people talk about AI, we forgot about reading.
Man.
We forgot about actually getting a book open. Like there's value in opening a book because there's so many books out here that teach us about sales.
Yeah.
It teaches us about the things that we are not good at. So it's like in this century, day and age, there's no reason why you can't be successful. Like, no reason.
I've said this before, and I mean it, and it's very controversial for me to say, but because we live in the greatest era of our time,
Yeah.
of modern man, because we live in the greatest era, that is a blessing and a cursing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because although technology has gotten strong, we've gotten weak because our dependency on the outcomes of an AI.
Yeah.
Whereas, before we would study, we would go sit in a webinar, we
You
would
would
go
have to.
sit to teach us how to operate Canva,
Yeah.
or how to create a digital product, or
Exactly.
all of those things. Now, you just open up Claude. Hey, I have 5 hours today,
Mhm.
and I want to learn how to create a digital product
Yeah.
in my niche.
Yep.
Build me a digital product that will sell relentlessly and create an irresistible offer based upon Alex Hormozi's model.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's going to build you an entire business model. And you ain't even got to think about it.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny about that?
That makes us weak and sometimes and strong at the same time.
It does, but you got to notice this. You have like a couple of years ago, I was getting into like the marketing sector, and I ended up teaching something to someone that I probably direct competitor.
You
Really created my own market.
All
Right?
competition.
This person was doing super bad, they're finna go out of business, and what I did without even knowing it, with sharing with them these marketing tips and stuff like that, is that they ended up reviving their whole business, and then next week they're the expert. But here's the thing though, no matter what, like you said, AI typically it can cripple you or strengthen you, right? Depending on how you depend on it. If you let it be your end all be all,
Yeah.
right? Then what happens here is it cripples you.
Yeah.
But if you let it be an extension of you, an extension of your mind,
There
and
you go.
open up your mind to broader horizons of things that you didn't think about.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, I am the student, and now I just want to learn more as opposed to I want something to learn for me,
Yeah.
right? So long story short, what ended up happening a couple of months later, and another thing I'm gonna tell you about this, but what ended up happening a couple months later, because this person didn't put in the work, because this person didn't pay for the result, because they
The proper
didn't
training.
do the time and the training and the days and the hours that I did.
Yeah.
I'm constantly innovating and changing.
Yeah.
This person is doing the same thing that I was doing
Yeah.
a year ago, and now it's no longer working.
Wow.
So no matter what you do, when it comes down to AI, it can cripple you because there's a appreciated sense that we need to appreciate more.
Yeah.
Hey, I actually put in time.
Yeah.
I actually opened the book. I actually studied this
Yeah.
instead of trying to take the shortcut.
Yeah.
Because when we take the shortcut, we actually take the longer route because
Yep.
we make more mistakes and
Absolutely.
it holds us up, and we spend more money
Yeah.
than we, should, because it's like, man, had I just did this,
Yeah.
had I just put in the time, had I just put in the work,
Yeah.
right?
Exposure versus revealing.
Exactly, right?
So you're being revealed, meaning you can step on the stage now that everybody's ready for you,
Exactly.
versus exposure, because now you've been exposed that you don't really know what
Exactly.
you know. Yeah.
Exactly. So another thing, an associate of mine's, his name is Neil Dingra. He actually teaches in like the branding side on like real estate. There's a direct competitor that took his website and literally like rebranded it, but does the same challenge, same
Oh,
webinar,
wow.
all of that. And guess what? They are not doing it like him because they didn't put in the time, the effort, the work, the studying, and like you just should appreciate studying and being a student. And this goes back to being a student.
It's back to
Like it starts with
Yeah.
being a student. And I
Yeah.
think that's very important. I just wanted to say that. So,
Yeah, that's some good stuff, man. And you said it very, very, very articulately. Um, it's important to remember that AI, the way I see AI, and this is not off topic, this is on topic. AI is an employee that I could not hire at $50,000 or $75,000 a
Mhm.
year. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like I can literally create, and I do create AI agents that will do the job of 5 people in 5 different departments, and it feels like I have 5 people in 5 different departments.
Exactly.
So I use AI for that. I don't use AI to think for me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it'll weaken my years of, study and experience and habits and, all of those different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the last thing that we're going to cover is measuring impact. Okay. Measuring impact is so important, y'all.
Man, it is.
Everybody loves to bring up the word KPIs, key performance indicators, right? How I like to break this down for my beginners who don't understand what this is have you ever went on Sheen or a website and they ever ask you for your email in exchange for a discount, or they just ask you for your email, period, right? And maybe a couple of days later or even a couple of hours later, they emailed you, right? I mean, you ever had that happen? Yes, right? Okay.
Mhm.
If you've had that happen, what they have is a system right there, a CRM, customer relationship management tool. Then what happens here is the longer that they reach out to you and they build more rapport with you, maybe that's not 2 months you convert and do a sale, right? Maybe that's not 3 months, maybe that's 4 months. And every single month they know that they have to reach out to 100 people to get a sale. Well, they're looking at, all right, how can I reach 1,000 people every single month? How can I reach 2,000 people, 5,000 people? Because I know on average my numbers show that, hey, I need to hit up 100 people to get a sale. So how can I maximize that? Where are we going with this? Very, very simple. If you know how to measure impact and you know what the standard is and what the standard for your business is, that's going to make it way easier for you to know where you need to be, how much you need to spend, how many contacts you need to make, and the things that you need to do to get to the money faster. Most people say, "Hey, I want to make money as soon as possible." But we don't try to study what the numbers actually say, because as we know, what do they say? Data lies. Numbers does not lie,
Yeah.
right? Numbers does not lie,
I would've
but
fucked with
people
that
do,
number.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like if we pay attention to the numbers and we be very intentional with measuring the impact of what we're doing, we would actually make money a lot faster. So if you actually want to make money, find out, hey, what is the average cost per lead, right? How much does it take for me to get a customer? Cost to acquire a customer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Find out, all of these different things. Hey, how many offers do I have to make to get a deal? How many contacts do I have to make to get a contract, right? Now you're starting to build something that's um consistent, and not only consistent but like repetitive, right? Because now it's like, hey, how do I make my business consistent? How do I make it predictable?
Right.
Oh, well, know the numbers. What are the numbers? Okay, the numbers it is. Oh, well, go do that, right?
Yeah.
It's that simple. I hate to say dumb it down, but like keep it simple, simplify it.
Yeah, and then too, it's the personal aspect of it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Really understanding and tracking your own personal growth.
that's
This
true.
is why journaling is so very important,
Mhm.
because you want to know, the thing that you struggled with before, you don't struggle with it anymore.
That's true.
The things that you really had a problem with that used to anger you, now it don't anger you anymore. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So it's really just about, measuring those key performance indicators, those things that perform well in your life, and those things that will absolutely move the needle so that you don't have to worry about trying to, you know, repeat bad actions or
Yeah.
repeat bad data. You get the feedback, you learn from it, and you grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now that's very important, man, because like we like, especially as when beginners get inside of business, it's like we don't talk about the most important things. Everybody thinks that the how to is the most important thing, and it's not. It's like, what about the numbers? What about the
Yeah.
calls? What about simplifying it and just making it so simple
Yeah.
to where we just go do it and see the result? Most people don't see the result because, for one, they're not a student. They don't want to take relentless action, but most importantly, they don't want to track numbers.
Right.
And then we get in a mindset of like, man, this does not work, or
Yeah.
this, and they get emotional. But
Right.
it's like, well, it does work, but did you make the iterations that you need to make
Right.
to get where you want it to be?
Right.
Right. In your how long has it been? 20 plus years of doing business,
Man,
right?
I always tell people to just say 20 plus because I stopped counting.
Yeah. Out of your 20 plus years of business, have you ever seen a company that did not track their metrics in performance? And if you did see that, how did that go in that business? Did they last a long time? Did they like fizzle out? Like what happened there if you did?
Yeah, I was that business.
Okay.
I didn't track measurables. I didn't track, profit loss. I didn't track lead flow. I didn't track, all of these things. I didn't track any of those. And because of it, my business stayed stagnant. It didn't I didn't have a clear picture of what was working and what wasn't working. And so because of that, my business remained at a certain level, and it didn't go beyond it. It never did. And after 5 years, it still remained the same way.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until, I connected with a very smart guy, and I won't name his name, but he's a really cool dude,
Yeah.
and taught me, hey man, listen, this is what you need to do. You don't know your business.
Yeah.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business.
Yeah.
And so he taught me how to, really get a snapshot into my business and understand what it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And when they say the devil is in the details,
Yeah.
they're not lying. The
Man.
devil is in the detail.
That's
So I had a business like that.
Yeah.
And inevitably it failed
Yeah.
because I wasn't able to recover fast enough.
Yeah.
In order to see the success of it, I wasn't able to recover fast enough. But I agree with anyone with the perspective of measure what matters,
Yeah.
not measure everything.
Yeah, because people just
Yeah.
try to get to overdoing it. Like, hey, what is like you're not there yet. There's certain levels, y'all, where you want to start with the basic, but there's a certain level where you go up and you start to do more.
Yeah.
Like you start to
As
do
you
meta
scale.
ads and stuff like this. Now it's like when you scale, you need more metrics
Yeah.
to determine, hey, is this good or bad? Like if you start running funnels, if you started running ads and
Yes.
stuff like this, now I need to track a little bit more than I used to.
Yes.
But now all you have to do, like we said, don't let AI think for you. Let it be an addition of you.
Yeah.
Ask the chat,
Yeah.
ask the Claude,
Yeah.
ask the Alex Hormozy AI. Hey,
Yeah.
what is the? I'm at this level. This is where I'm at,
Yeah.
and he knows how to prompt and all of that good stuff. Me, I'm just a rookie. But this is where I am. This is how my business looks like. This is my revenue.
Yes.
What more can, and this is what I'm tracking. What more do I need to track
Yes.
in my business to go to the next level?
To
Now
scale. Yeah.
you got more things to track, and you already mastered. By then you've mastered the basics. So the basics are going to be the basics, and 9 times out of 10, if anything goes wrong, you always go back and look at the basics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great combo, man.
Great combo. Okay. Well, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We appreciate you so much. Comment on this video what you think the favorite part was for you and what you most resonated with. Like this video and go ahead and subscribe. And like always, we'll see you next week. See y'all.